Following the tutorial videos on the creation of the emission report and an overview of the workflow functionalities, let's now get familiarized with the content of the emission report. From the My Fleet page, we open the emission report we have previously created by selecting Actions, Emission Report, Edit. By default, the system takes us to the Emission Report Particulars tab. The information in this tab is not editable. Creation date and reporting period cannot be amended. Emission report status will be automatically updated by the system. The deadline to submit the emission report to the Commission is a simple countdown towards the 30th of April, which is the deadline for this action as defined in Article 11 of the EU MRV regulation. The content of the emission report is well specified in the Annex 2 of the Commission Implementing Regulation 2016-1927. Remember that it is mandatory for companies to create the emission report in THETIS-MRV. If other commercial systems are used for this purpose, please remember that data will still need to be inserted here. Let's browse Annex 2 and find those elements in the system. Part A, on identification of the ship and the company, and Part B, on verifier details. This will be visible in the Ship, Company, and Verifier Details tab. You will note that fields will be pre-filled once the emission report is created, so you don't have to fill in all the information again. However, once data is recorded in the emission report fields, that data will be independent from the ship particulars data. This is because, following the reporting period, ship may change particulars, but that should not affect previously created emission reports. To demonstrate this possibility, after creating the emission report on a previous video, I have amended the flag of the vessel in the ship page. Therefore, we received the warning in the message board referring to this fact. In case this difference would be desired, we ignore the message and we can discard it by clicking on the cross sign on the right side. On the other hand, if we need to have particulars amended, we can use the Edit button, which will open the Ship Particulars and Owner Details window. The Update from Ship Data button can be used in case you have amended some particulars in the ship page after having created the emission report, and you would like to have them reflected in here. Let's try it and confirm that the flag is updated. If we scroll down in this tab, we see a similar arrangement for the company and verifier details. You will also note that the warning message will be discarded, noting that flag is no longer different. Part C, on information on the monitoring methods used in related level of uncertainty. Back to the system, we can find this data in the Emission Sources tab. Data is organized in a similar way as we saw in the monitoring plan. In fact, for companies deciding to use the system to create the monitoring plan, the button Load Table from Monitoring Plan will allow for an automatic filling. In case the monitoring plan is not in the system, then each emission source and related information will have to be entered one by one each year you produce an emission report. Because we have created the monitoring plan in the system, let's try to load data from there. But before that, just have a look at the Measuring Equipment tab to confirm it is empty. Coming back to the Emission Source tab, let's click to load the table from the monitoring plan. You will get a message requiring you to acknowledge that data will be overwritten, including measuring equipment. We need the measuring equipment because there is a dependency to the monitoring methods, emission sources, and uncertainty. We confirm. The data grid is automatically populated. And if we check the Measuring Equipment tab, we note that this table has also been updated. However, this particular table will not be part of the emission report. It has to be here, just because it is needed for the Emission Sources table. Part D, on the monitoring results and parameters. This information will be available in the annual monitoring results. We will get a sub-tab menu holding all the figures which have been entered in the ship page. Except for the last tab, there is no action to be done here, except to confirm that these information is correct. In case you need to amend any detail, you will have to go to the ship page and amend it there. Those amendments will be automatically reflected here. We will not cover this action as this has already been explained in the tutorial video on creating an emission report. On the Voluntary Reporting tab you can enter data as appropriate. However, these fields will be available depending on the ship type. For a general cargo, as in this example, the average density of cargo transported is not foreseen, therefore, it will not be available. The content of the emission report is covered with the presented tabs. However, we still have some more tabs in the screen to look at. The Non-Conformities tab is to be used on a voluntary basis, if the company and verifier so decide. It will allow the verifier to log findings which the company may follow up later. It will allow tracking of the verification findings which could benefit from being recorded. We will not cover this tab in the tutorial videos, but please keep in mind that this information is kept to the company and verifier only. Nor commission nor flag state will be able to consult these non-conformities. The Docs tab is the same document repository which you have seen already in the Ship and Monitoring Plan tabs, so we will not look into that. I will explain now the two last tabs. Let's start with the Emission Report Revision tab. If you have seen the tutorial videos on the monitoring plan, you may be guessing already that this is about generating a version of the emission report at any time. That is correct. Generating a version is like taking a snapshot of the current content of the report. In our case, the report is on draft. If we would like to make a version now, we click Generate Emission Report Document Version. The version number will be assigned automatically and incrementally by the system. Date will be set to the date and time of the action. The status is also taken automatically considering the phase of the workflow process. Additional notes explaining changes of the version can be inserted in the observation text. Once we click to save, a new entry will be displayed in the revision table. Button actions will allow to manage this record, but, more important, will allow to download the emission report. Please note that this PDF file is the official version of the emission report, although, in our case, still on draft. Do not confuse with the document we get by clicking on Print to PDF, where we get all the content from all tabs in the screen. To recap, Print to PDF is used to have a PDF version of all the tabs you see. Actions. Download will give you the official emission report of the respective version. And finally, the Verification Report Revision tab. This will be the place where you will get your document of compliance once the verifier will make it available. Companies do not generate verification reports. This action is for the verifier. Remember that before a DOC can be collected, the emission report has to be submitted to the verifier. The verifier has to confirm it is satisfactory, and then generate a verification report which will produce the DOC. Submitting the emission report to the verifier and later collect the document of compliance will be covered in another video.